Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pound for Pound Show, episode number 18. I am Philip, and joining me, as always, are Russ and Ben. How are you fantastic gentlemen doing today?
Great.
Good to
How are
hear.
you, Phil?
I am tremendous as always. So
Good to
let's get
hear.
to it. We'll very briefly recap what would they passed off as fights this last weekend.
Yeah.
But that's just the precursor to getting into the super ultra mega stacked card they've got coming up this weekend. So we'll dig deep into that. We'll talk about some title fights. But without further ado, there's some fights last weekend. We had the heavyweight main event. We had Cyril Gane against Rozenstruik. Probably not the most exciting fight we've ever seen, but Gane continues to impress, getting the pretty one-sided victory. So Ben, I'll let you comment first and then pass it over to Russ to get some additional thoughts.
Yep. Pretty uneventful fight overall. Gane just did what he had to do to win. He's a very smart fighter, very intelligent. We don't really see much of his style in the heavyweight division. Very tactical, precise, like calculated. Everything's calculated. And I wouldn't say he has that killer instinct like a lot of heavyweights do, even though he's got some finishes. But he was just trying to play this one safe and get the win. And he got it. Not much you can say on this fight. Gane is going to be a problem for a while, though. That's for sure. Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, like you said, it was pretty uneventful. Even though like Gane looked good, you got to chalk it up to inexperience. He's only 2.5 years into fighting. He's 8-0 now, so I think he'll develop that killer instinct and he'll start finishing even more dudes. But they both seem pretty hesitant to engage. Like Gane's jab looked super good, but you got a feeling probably like by like round 2 that there just wasn't going to be a stoppage because he was never following up with like a second punch. It was just jab, 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 and Rozenstruik never really wanted to engage. So that's what you get. I mean, I guess good for Gane, taking no damage in a 5-round heavyweight fight and probably moving up into the top 5 in the rankings, but he's not going to win too many fans with, fights like that.
Right. Yeah.
Agreed. One of the things I couldn't help thinking about, and hopefully it's just like a temporary, and you see it a lot after a guy's really thinking about the way the last Rozenstruik fight went. Obviously, had to play into how gun shy he was. I'm sure he had to be. Being his first loss and being knocked out violently. Yeah, he just seemed like a guy who was going to protect himself at all costs. And it obviously cost him because he really just was inactive the entire fight. He didn't do much of anything, and he really did it to himself. So hopefully he can go back and watch the tape and be able to get past that, because usually people do, but sometimes once guys suffer 1 or 2 of those knockouts, they just protecting themselves from that is what they do. And I don't think he's going to get too many more wins if he approaches fighting this way. So
right. Yeah. Like the Ngannou one was so rough that like sometimes you can't recover from one like that. It's just,
right.
It happens to dudes.
Yeah, no doubt. But a lot of times you see it, I don't want to draw too many parallels, but like after Ngannou's a great example, after his first loss against Stipe, people were like, he might be done for, because he came out in his next fight and it was clearly his worst performance, one of the worst heavyweight fights ever. It was just, he came out and just didn't do anything because he didn't want to put himself in any compromising situations. But obviously, I think he learned from that experience and decided that the way to do it was that, hey, I'll just go out and kill everybody in 30 seconds. Then I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And it's been working for him so far. So
for sure.
Hopefully Rozenstruik can figure it out and get back to putting on some pretty exciting fights. So
yeah, and another thing you could say is like at least Gane got the 5 rounds in, you know what I mean? Because he has very few even rounds in. So like that experience is gonna probably help him along the way. He'll just get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It didn't help us enjoy the fight more though.
No.
Yeah, that we can say. But yeah, hopefully it leads to better things in the future. We'll look at the glass half full on this one. So wouldn't be remiss, obviously, if we didn't talk about the Munoz Rivera fight. That was a pretty exciting one. Pedro picking up the win via decision, but that might have been the only other thing really worth mentioning on the card. Anything else you guys wanted to touch on before we move past this card and hopefully erase it and never have to think about it again?
Yeah, no, that's
about it. I mean, just the amount of calf kicks being thrown on that card had me texting Ben and Joe. Like I was telling them, like if I was training to be a UFC fighter, I'd train 100% just calf kicks at this point. Like calf kicks and like takedown defense. If you can stay on your feet and you can land those calf kicks, you can wreck dudes. Like it's such a crazy tactic now in the UFC.
Right.
is.
And it is, and obviously it's obviously a copycat sport, and they saw the success for it, especially at the main event level, the way Dustin was able to utilize them. It's just going to continue to grow in popularity, and guys are going to have to come up with an answer for it. So,
Yeah, I don't know that there is one.
yeah. Well, it'll be the evolution of the sport. It could, easily lead to a lot more guys be like, well, I'm going to start taking people down more often because you can't kick me in the calf if I out wrestle you.
Yeah.
So, it could lead to that. It could be that next evolution, and we could see a big wave of ground game come back. So
Please no.
No.
I know.
Tackling dudes is better than getting kicked in the calf till you can't walk.
Yeah, I was listening to Dustin on Rogan. He said like after like 2 of them, like you're in pain. Like he said, it's very quick, not like the thigh kicks that they used to throw all the time. You know what I mean? Where like you could take them for rounds and like still walk into people. He said like you feel that crap quick.
Yeah.
When they land right on the calf.
Yeah, well, there isn't much to protect your calf. It's like your thigh is pretty big, but those calf kicks, you don't have to kick even that hard till it really gets down to where the nerves and the muscle is going to really start to hurt. And not only is it going to be painful, but it really just starts to impact your mobility almost immediately.
Yeah. That's what he's saying. Like, there's not much protection and they're very easy to throw. Like you don't even have to really put yourself in much danger, and they can almost be like a slap sometimes. You know what I mean? They don't have to be like a solid, like shin kick. Like it just crazy how effective.
There's not much meat there.
They've been around, but it seems like lately, like in the past, like 6 months, it's just every fight people are utilizing them to like, and they're really working. Interesting.
Going to have everybody out there training like Tony Ferguson, kicking telephone poles and stuff like that to toughen up their calves and their shins.
I know. It's all you need.
That might be the move. So I saw he's training with Freddie Roach.
Yeah, I seen that too. He's at Wild Card.
Yeah, you never know. Always exciting to see what Tony's up to.
I support anybody hanging out with Freddie Roach. That dude is the man.
Agreed 100%. So we'll leave that card in the past. Before we get into UFC 259, we'll talk about, they announced a couple, actually 3 big fights coming up. Looks like they're going to have a huge card on April 24th for the women. It looks like they announced Valentina is going to defend her belt against Jessica Andrade. And it looks like the Wiley Zhang Rose Namajunas fight is being targeted for that same card. So
yes,
that could be a pretty good one. I'll let you guys comment on either one of those fights. Anything you guys have to add for those?
Oh yeah, I'm so hyped for that Zhang Rose fight. That's gonna be, that last fight from Zhang was so awesome with Joanna, and then Rose brings it every time. So that fight is so sick. And then Valentina is always fun to watch, and Andrade. So that's gonna be maybe her biggest test yet or at least since Nunes.
Yeah, I agree. That's going to be her toughest fight outside of Nunes. Andrade has like a lot of, she has stopping power standing up, and she has a good ground game. So she just has everything. I mean, even though Shevchenko is obviously going to be a big favorite, at least this is like a challenge for her, unlike so many of her opponents. And, Rose and Zhang's just going to be amazing. It's crazy. We haven't seen Zhang since like that Joanna fight. It'll be over a year when we finally see her. And Rose is like, was it like July or something? So it's been a long time for her too. Both of them coming off long layoffs. Super pumped for those fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
Should be good. Should be good. And then they finally officially booked the Figgy Moreno rematch. Looks like that's going to be coming up in June. So obviously, first one was a fight of the year candidate. So that should be a whole lot of fun as well. I am excited for that one. So
yeah, for sure.
Lots of champions fighting here in the next couple months. So it should be good. But speaking of champions fighting, we got 4 of them fighting this weekend. So huge stacked card. So without further ado, let's dig into UFC 259, and really no better place to start than a main event, champion versus champion. We got Jan Blachowicz fighting Israel Adesanya. Russ, I'll let you start, kind of talk us through what you're excited about and what you expect to see. And then Ben, you can do the same.
I'm pumped, about the move up in weight is just crazy. Izzy has pretty much cleaned out the middleweight division at this point. So he decided to make the move to 205 now that Jones left, and he sees a winnable title up there. I think it's a super tough fight. Normally I'd take Izzy very confidently, but this one's different because he's moving up in weight. A lot of time when you see these guys move up in weight, it's 10 pounds. It's like 135, 145, 155. They move up or down 10-pound weight differences. This is a big gap, 20 pounds. I I'm interested to see. I want to see the weigh-ins on Friday, and I want to see the standoffs. I want to see like the size difference. I was looking it up. Izzy's 6'4", it says, and Jan's 6'2". So like, he should still be like have a fairly decent like size advantage, but I just don't know, if he's going to be able to withstand the Polish power. Those big punches. He can't stand in there and trade like he did against Gastelum. He's going to have to be like super precise and patient with it. I'm super, super intrigued by this fight. It's the most intrigued I've been in an Izzy fight in quite some time. And I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm taking Izzy to stop him probably in the third round. I'll go with third round stoppage by Izzy, but I definitely don't see it as a one-sided fight.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with everything you said, Russ. Izzy's going to have to fight really smart. Is he going to be, is it going to be like Max going up to lightweight where he goes up and he realizes he's too small, goes back down? Or is he going to be like, I can't think of anyone else who went up in weight and was that much in weight and was successful.
Anderson Forrest Griffin is the only example that comes to mind right away.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Anderson did have a speed advantage there, big speed advantage. But yeah, Izzy's going to for sure have that speed advantage. Maybe the reach advantage, but Jan has the power advantage, and Jan is deceptively big. Like, you don't realize how big he is until you see him next to other fighters, and he's going to be throwing some hammers in there. So, like you said, Russ, Izzy's going to have to fight real smart and fight from a distance, use his reach, and if he doesn't get caught by Jan, he takes this fight. I don't know if I don't know if he finishes it, but I'm taking Izzy by. I'm going to take Izzy by decision, actually. So what do you think, Phil?
There. A lot of interesting things. I really like the point you made about the move up in weight. And it was, I was briefly chatting with you guys before the show, watch an interesting interview with one of Izzy's kickboxing coaches. And he was saying that, the only time he struggled in his career and his few losses were guys that were significantly bigger than him. So, they view this as a real challenge. So I'm very curious to see what his game plan is. Because I'm certain that if they're taking it as seriously as they make it sound, they're going to have a unique game plan. It's not just going to be another day at the office for Izzy, because he's used to having that reach advantage and he's used to his power at least being equivalent. But I think that they understand that, he's giving up some size, he's given up some power, and they're going to have to approach this fight a little bit differently. So I expect to see him be extremely technical, which we know he's capable of doing. And yeah, I could see him approaching the fight similar to the Romero fight. Just trying, I don't want to say doing what he has to do to win per se, but, really trying to turn it into a technical fight and really keeping his distance. Cause I think it's going to be hard for Jan to catch up to him, but I think you can only stay away from somebody for so long. I think at some point Jan's going to get to him, and it's, the difference is he's not going to be able to do the level of damage. And I think Jan is going to get it done. I think it's going to be, I'm gonna go with a stoppage later in the fight. So I'm gonna go with a third round TKO. I think he's gonna catch him, and he's just too big and too strong.
Okay.
Plus, I'm just a big fan. So
yeah, he is great. He's a great dude. Mm-hmm. Did you guys see he's got the hangman's bracelet now? Did you guys see that? You know how he touches that rope and he made it into a bracelet. Picture. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty neat.
Yeah, that's super cool. So yeah, it's certainly going to be an intriguing fight. Like I said, I think that's, Russ touched on that, it's one of those, it seems easy to break down on paper, but it's in practice. Yeah. In practical application, it's going to be very, very interesting, because it's very easy to make a case that there's no way Jan ever catches Izzy. He's just going to swing at air all night. And, it's easy to make the case that Izzy can't hurt Jan because he isn't big enough. And so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. It could, I wouldn't be shocked either way this fight goes. Nothing, I don't,
Agreed.
I think Izzy's so a lot of any other middleweight, probably I would not think it's probably possible, but Izzy's just the smartest at downloading what a fighter's doing almost instantaneously. He seems to recognize between rounds, what he needs to adjust and change. So I think maybe he'll figure it out mid-fight, you know what I mean? Or in between rounds, he might utilize the calf kick. He was using it on Costa quite a bit, and
right,
it hurt him within a round. It hurt him. So if he can do that with the speed, that could be a path to victory. But
you're right.
Either way, I'm going Izzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. He might use that calf kick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tough. Like every other Izzy fight for like the last couple of years, I've confidently said Izzy, no problem. Like he's too good. But this one's like, it's a big jump.
It
We'll
is.
see.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll make for a fun main event either way. Like I don't see it being a boring fight one way or the other. So
no, it's awesome.
Intrigued to see where it comes out. So go to the co-main event. This could be a tricky one. Obviously one of the most lopsided cards or fights on paper. We've got, Amanda Nunes defending the 145 belt against Megan Anderson. So Ben, I'll let you start and then go over to Russ. Obviously Amanda is a 11-1 favorite, I believe. So, kind of, we don't really have to touch on why she's the favorite, but why do you think, what is Megan going to have to do to be competitive or possibly win this fight?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know how Megan wins this fight unless she gets her on the ground and submits her. She's got some like crazy reach and length, I mean, I don't think she can knock Amanda out. Amanda's striking is superior. I don't know. I honestly don't see how Megan wins this fight. Even though Megan has 2 finishes in her last 2 fights, she's looked real good against like lower level competition, not the GOAT of women's MMA. I'm taking Nunes I'm going to say she finishes her probably in I'll say the second. I'm going to say she knocks her out in the second. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah, I definitely think Amanda's winning. I mean, she can win it any way she wants. She's the greatest female fighter ever. It can't really be argued. She's the only person, man or woman, to win 2 titles and defend them both. You know what I mean? She's just incredible. The list of people she's beaten everybody, and most of them by stoppage. And I think she can win really any way she chooses. But if there is a path to victory for Megan Anderson, I think it's got to be like a first round knockout. She's just got to catch her like Sarah did to GSP. You know what I mean? Like if it goes to the ground, it's a wrap. She's been submitted multiple times, and Nunes has an amazing ground game. So that's really Nunes' easiest path to victory if she just decides to grab her and just wrestle her down and submit her. But, anything could happen in a title fight. And also, like, she's been doing this for like 5 years, just rolling through everybody. So, like, at some point, we've seen champions lose their hunger a little bit. Maybe she'll lose a little bit of it and maybe come in a little lackadaisical like Anderson did against Weidman. You never know. It could happen. And let me give you these like odds. Like you guys mentioned it. Like I got them written down. Nunes is minus 1250 and Megan Anderson's plus 750. So like, if you're betting that straight up, the only way to go is Megan Anderson, just and pray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I was looking at some prop bets that I thought were like insane. The difference, like if you bet Nunes by KO or TKO, plus 120.
Wow.
Yeah. If you bet Nunes by submission, plus 175, and Nunes by decision, plus 440. So like they're basically saying they don't know what way it's going to get stopped. But if you're betting Nunes, you're paying a heavy price straight up. But like one of those props, if you can decide like she's going to win by KO or TKO or submission, you can still get plus money. I thought that was wild.
That's insane. She stops it by TKO or KO like most of the time.
Most of the time. She's had a couple decisions recently though. So
yeah,
she sometimes decides to like let these women live. But
interesting.
Yeah, but I think Megan's path to victory is just catching her with some wild shot early because she is a big girl.
She is.
She is.
That's a huge bitch.
Yeah. And she is 6 feet tall. So it'll be, she has a significant reach advantage. I don't know that her boxing has ever impressed me at the level that I think she can just piece Amanda up for 25 minutes. I'm not saying that, but anyone who's that tall, hopefully has been thinking because Amanda obviously like comes out like a savage and wings bombs in that first round. So if I'm coaching that team, which obviously I'm not, like I am trying to utilize the distance and like you said, catch Amanda like off guard, catch her, maybe getting a little reckless going for an early stoppage because, with a couple of fights, like, when she fought Durandamine, it seemed like she came out in the first round and just started throwing haymakers like from the get and, maybe just try to be calculated and capitalize that way. So.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine, but we've like
seen it before.
Yeah, we've seen crazy stuff happen before, and it's if like she is a little less hungry or lets her ego get in the way and like really wants to stand up the whole time. Like, not to say she doesn't have better stand up, but that's really the only place Megan has a chance. That fight goes to the ground, she has zero chance. So
Yeah. We'll
I don't
see
know.
what happens.
We'll see.
It'll be curious. Yeah, like you said, it's one of those things when a champion wins for so many, it almost feels like, when we used to talk about the GSP fights or Anderson fights, it's like you're almost like grasping at straws. Like, what could this person possibly do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, like Demetrius,
Maybe
it's like,
lightning will hit someone during the fight,
yep.
that could happen, but yeah, it does get challenging to find ways to lose. But, to Russ's point, everyone does at some point. And it's usually when you don't expect it. Like, no one expected Sarah to win. No one expected Chris Weidman to win. Certainly no one expected Verdun to beat Fedor when he did.
Holly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those things just come, even though I would argue, I think some people saw the Holly Holm fight coming, and to Russ's point, well, I think, it's, it seemed like Ronda, like maybe even more in retrospect, we might be like retelling history a little bit, but like when you go back and watch, and I know I've told this story 100 times, like I remember to this day, I was at work and me and Russ were chatting. We're like, man, like Holly might actually get this done. And at these odds, like you got to go with her. So, I think, you could just, and when you go back, especially with the gift of hindsight, you could kind of see the cracks starting to form. So I don't know that was the case in the other ones for sure, or that's the case now, but
yeah,
it'll be curious to see. So, but we've got more title fights to talk about. And this one is the closest one on paper. And very well could end up being the most exciting fight because these guys, got Peter Yan and Aljo gonna throw down. It literally last time I looked was a pick 'em. They were both minus 110. So it's an awfully close fight. So this time, Russ, I'll let you start and kind of what you expect to see and who you're picking, and then throw it over to Ben.
This is a tough fight to call, man. Both these dudes have been on fire for the last few years and don't really seem to have any weaknesses. So like, it's kind of a tough fight to pick. I think Aljo has the better resume on paper, and he's fought tougher dudes, and his win over Sandhagen looks even more impressive now after what Sandhagen's done the last couple of fights. Like submitting that dude in the first round is unreal. And he's been great ever since that loss to Marai. He hasn't lost. He's been really good. And he's, training with Sarah. He's Sarah's prize student. So I'm rooting for him big time. But Peter Yan is such a violent mother effer. Like, he sent Uriah into retirement in like scary fashion. And then he, beat the hell out of Aldo in a fight that like could have been stopped earlier to win that title. So it's a tough fight to call. I'm taking Aljo. I think he has like more of a skill set, like as far as like more ways to win. I think he's going to be able to wrestle him down maybe and like wear him out. Hopefully that's what I'm thinking. And maybe stop him like late or grind out a decision. But I think Aljo just has the better ground game. And I think he has a pretty equivalent stand-up, even though Yan has looked so violent. He hasn't fought anybody quite as dynamic as Aljo, so I'm going with him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said, Russ. Aljo has the ground game, like for sure. He's got the over Yan. Jan's just a stand-up striker. That's really, we haven't really seen his ground game, but I don't think there's much there. If Aljo can get it to the ground, that's his world, that's his fight, and he wins this fight. Here's the thing. I don't think he's going to get it to the ground. I think Jan's training takedown defense. I think he knows that's what Aljo's going for. So Jan's going to keep it standing. And I think Yan has the superior striking. So I'm going to take Yan by, I think he finishes it late. Pieces Aljo up. But Aljo's striking is good. It's just inferior to Jan's. So we'll see how it goes, though. It's a weird, it's a fun stylistic matchup. We don't, it could be a real exciting fight depending on where it plays out. And it's going to be a battle of who can do what they want in this fight. So I think Jan's going to win it, though. What do you think, Phil?
I tend to agree. I think it's, I think Russ made some great points, and I think you made some good points. I do think Aljo's stand-up is good, but I think Yan is at an entirely different level on his feet. I don't want to oversimplify it, but yeah, I think it comes down to, can Aljo get it to the ground and control Yan on the ground? I think that's his path to victory. But I think if it stays standing, not that Aljo can't catch him, of course, but I think we'll see Yan really get the best of him on their feet. If that's where the fight stands, I think it's going to be a tough night for Aljo. So I think Jan is just going to accumulate a level of damage, and probably by the third or fourth round, if Aljo can't get it to the ground, I think he's just Jan's just going to keep putting it on him until he can't take anymore. So I'd say third or fourth round, he's going to finish him up.
Yeah.
So, but I'm real excited because both guys are fun to watch. So
yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, so good stuff. And then there's tons of other big fights on the card. We don't want to spend too much time, so the show will run 3 hours or anything like that. But, Islam Makhachev is fighting. He's getting some massive hype and praise. He's a massive favorite over Drew Dober. Thiago Santos is on the card. Dominic Cruz is on the card. Joseph Benavidez is on the card. So, you've got main event guys fighting on the prelim. So this is a pretty stacked event. So any of those fights in particular you guys want to touch on? Any points you want to make about any of those fighters, or anything else you guys want to get in before we get to the fun stuff and talk about some bets?
I'm pumped about Thiago Santos and Rakic. I think that's an awesome fight that, should probably see a stoppage, but you never know. But I think Thiago Santos is still a legit contender for that light heavyweight title. Like he has a knockout win over Jan already, who's the champion. And I don't put too much stock into the last loss against Glover because it was coming off that split decision war against, the greatest John Jones, which you went the distance with him and it was very, very close fight. Yeah. And you're going to have a bit of a hangover after that. So I think we see Thiago come back, looking like a killer. I watched the countdown. That dude's just a scary looking individual. I think
he is.
I mean, when I think about dudes, I would not want to step in there with, he's near the top of the list. He just looks terrifying. And how explosive he is. So I hope he comes back and delivers an awesome performance.
You could say the same about his opponent, Rakic. That guy's a scary looking mofo too. And
you can, but we've seen less of him. So
it's true. He's looked very dangerous his last few fights. And
he has.
I'd be shocked if someone doesn't go night in that fight. Someone's going night. That's
probably pretty early.
Yeah, probably first or second round. They're gonna come out there swinging, looking to impress. Impress the bosses, impress the rest of the light heavyweights, and that should be a fun one.
Yeah, that's a great fight.
Yeah, excited about that one. Any other fights you guys want to touch on?
No, I mean, Makhachev and Dober is going to be a cool fight because Makhachev's this prospect that everyone's praising like he's like the next coming of Christ or something. And then you got Dober, who's looked real good his last few fights, and he's a scrapper. So, that's a fun fight too.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the intrigue of, if no nonsense is reffing Dominic Cruz's fight.
Yeah.
If that is the case, that'll be quite hilarious, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh my God. I hope he is. I hope he is. That'd be so funny, dude.
I would pay double for this pay-per-view if Peterson came out to the ring with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth
and a bottle of Jack.
At the very least, be cage side for it, even if you're not reffing. Just be so he catches you out of the corner of his eye.
Yeah, that would be great. Just have Peter actually heckling Cruz during the fight.
Yes.
Oh God, that's so great.
Classic.
So great. But either way, it should be a fun card, and there should be a lot to talk about on next week's show as we break it down. But let's get down to it, Russ. Let's touch on some best bets. Let the people know how they're going to make their money this week. Maybe talk a little bit about last week's best bets, and then we'll talk about some big bets on those title fights between us, and then wrap this show up.
All right, let's get into the best bets. Last week was the definition of mediocre. It was 1-1-1. We won on Gane. We lost on Matzo against Alexis Davis, who Matzo just had no ground game. It was embarrassing every time she got taken down.
Yeah.
And then Bueno, we got the freaking draw because she got a point deducted for grabbing the cage with no warning.
Yeah.
You deduct that point, and then she beat the hell out of Montana the rest of the fight, destroyed her eye. Yeah. Might as well be a draw. So
yeah.
Complete garbage on that. And then the Angela Hill fight was canceled because we got to have one canceled fight every week. But
yeah,
pray to God this card stays together, that they're all quarantining and we get the 3 title fights this week.
I like getting so many great fights. If 1 or 2 fight got canceled, it's still a great card.
But still, we want all 3 title fights.
For sure.
Please let us.
I'm expecting one of those to get canceled.
Please don't even put it out there.
Yeah.
Don't even put it out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So this week I'm taking Thiago Santos plus 135 against Rakic. I think he's going to get the job done, return to form for him, and look great again. I also want to sprinkle a little bit on plus 525 by decision, just because those odds are so crazy. Like if they both are able to withstand.
Well, if you've seen either of them fight, those odds should be like plus like 5,000 in my opinion.
I don't know. It's only a 3-round fight. It could happen. And then I'm taking Aljo at a pick. I'm like minus 105, plus 105, whatever you see. Like it's floating right around there the whole time. Right. I think he's just got more ways to win it. Like I think he should have a size advantage too. He's big and he's got the All-American college wrestling experience. So I just think he has plenty of ways to win at a pick 'em. I'll go with him. And then the Casey Kenny Cruz fight, minus 245 for that to go to decision. That's free money. That should be like minus 2,000. Like both those dudes pretty much only go to decision. Like they've done it for like years, decision, almost every fight. So if that don't go to decision, my mind will be blown. It's minus 245. And then, okay, for a super, super fun one here, we got this insane parlay bet. We're going to take all 3 dogs in the 3 title fights. Take Megan Anderson, Aljo, and Jan. If you take all 3 of those, bet 100, you win 4,770.
Wow.
So just for some excitement, I mean, like, you can buy like a tenth of a Bitcoin if you win that bet. Like,
yeah,
a beautiful thing. Go with it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, nice, good.
That's just a fun bet. I don't really expect to win it, but I put together the parlay because I wanted to see like how crazy these odds would be, just because they're all 3 underdogs and
one's a huge underdog.
Yeah, I mean, if Megan gets that win, you could hedge the main event if you really want to do, but.
I would say you would have to, because like how heartbreaking could it possibly be for you if you won on the first 2 and Megan gets it done and you're like only 1 fight to go and you lose that parlay?
That's what I'm saying.
Right. You know how many times it's happened to me on Monday Night Football after like had like a 14 parlay and you hit every game on Sunday and on Monday night your heart is broken.
Oh, I know that feeling very much. Like I'm famous around work for saying anybody that mentions it, hedging's for landscapers. I don't freaking hedge. Like I freaking ride it right into the ground. Like,
yeah.
Even though the smart move is always to hedge, I'm like, nah, we'll take our chances. And then you end up losing every bit of it.
Yeah, you go big or you go home. It's that simple.
Like you take a futures bet, like on like the Warriors to win the championship and you get them all the way to the finals. And then like half the team gets injured.
Do I take a payout of 1,000 right now, or do I risk it all and win like 6,000? I'll risk it all.
Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's like, oh, can I hedge and like still guarantee 1,000, or can I not hedge and guarantee like 1,200? I want that extra 200.
Yeah, just greedy at that point.
It's a massive amount of stubbornness, really. It's not greed. It's just like, no, I made my bet. I'm rolling with this sucker.
Yeah, I'm with you. The amount of times where it's about the principle of winning, the money becomes irrelevant.
Until I really don't like messing around with the other side. Yeah,
until you lose, and then you're like, that was a poor choice.
Speaking of betting, Phil, why don't you let these people know what's up?
Awesome. So, as has been discussed, we had our infamous huge bet on the Conor and Dustin fight. And what we have done, and I know we've discussed in the past, but for anyone who is just joining us, we purchased a wheel, and it's going to be, the wheel is going to determine your fate. So we're going to make some bets on a couple of these title fights, and then whoever wins or loses has to spin the wheel, and we're going to have an assortment of different loss. When you lose, you have to spin the wheel, and whatever comes up is what you have to do. And we've got a handful of fun things planned,
punishment type deals.
It's not just money bets. We wanted to keep it, we'll still be betting money, don't get me wrong, but we're going to put some other interesting stuff in place as well. So they're going to be we've got a handful of the spots filled, and we're going to be spending the week coming up with some fresh ideas to fill the last few spots. So if anybody watching has any cool ideas, you want to drop them in the comments. We're pretty stubborn and we're pretty dumb. We'll be happy to add some stuff to the wheel.
I'm nervous. I'm real nervous.
Yeah, you guys saw Russ's run in the cold. We've got some
barefoot.
Other fun stuff. Yeah, we got some other fun stuff planned. So let's commit to those picks. We're gonna bet on the title fights. we're going to exclude the Anderson Nunez fight, even though I am going to bet on Megan Anderson because the odds are so great. I'm not going to put my fate of having to suffer in her hands. I'm not that confident. So I'm confident enough to bet some money. I'm not confident enough to spin the wheel on her behalf. So
no.
But on the other two fights, we'll turn it over. We kind of alluded to who we thought were going to win, but Ben, let us remind us, for the bet officially, who do you got in the other two title fights?
I have Izzy winning, and I have Piotr Jan winning. Russ.
Aljo and Izzy.
Aljamain
Sterling and Izzy, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Phil?
I'm riding the Jan Express. I'm taking Jan and Jan. How I'm doing it.
Jan squared, baby.
Yep, that's how I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
Yep, a Jan sandwich.
We've beaten this into the ground.
Yeah, a little bit. So I was gonna keep going until there was nothing left. So but yeah, so it'll be interesting. We all three of us have a different, at least one different pick. So the odds that all three of us are going to be spinning the wheel at least once are pretty good. So some of us might be spinning twice. Someone might get off unscathed. So we'll see how it goes. I know last time Russ went out on a limb and he was the only one who took a 3-1 favorite and somehow lost. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
I've been running good the last week. You guys are in big trouble.
Oh man.
Hey, if you've been running good, it's time for that luck to run out. So
nope. I got good juju going right now. We're rolling.
You're going to have to be real lucky to win both, man. Like, no, I don't know if anyone's getting out unscathed on this, man.
Yeah, it's possible. Me and Russ are on the opposite side of both bets, so it could be very well one of us could be 2-0 or 0-2. So
it's true.
Very interesting.
I swear to God, man, if I lose both.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not great at like odds and stuff, but like, does one of us have to like get out unscathed in this? Right? Isn't that possible? Because all of us are different. So one of us. I think one of us is getting unscathed.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
The way that it works out.
Yeah. So two of us will be doing something and then one of us will be unscathed.
Yeah.
That's fine.
One person will be doing two.
Yeah. One will be doing two, one will be doing one, and one will be unscathed. Wow. That works out.
Nice.
100% fact, Russ. If you try to order any money candles this week, I will cancel them and you will not be.
Yeah.
We're going to keep all the juju on this side of this bet.
Got that baby right here.
Oh, man.
I keep that sucker close. Keep that good juju going.
Keep that thing on me.
Yeah, I'll be working this week. I'm going to have a whole box of it. It's going to look like a vampire movie.
Yeah, I don't feel like that's fair that you're the source of the candles. Like I'm limited to like one or two here and there. You got boxes of them.
But these bets ain't about money, though. The money is not on these bets.
But it's
juju.
Prosperity it's a prosperity spell that goes into them. So
yeah,
I'll be doing manifest spells. I'll be doing money spells. I might start a house fire.
Yeah.
Ready for this. So depending on what ends up on the wheel, but either way, it should be fun. We'll see the debut of the wheel next week. I'm pretty excited about it. So.
I'm excited and nervous as hell. I'm more nervous than excited. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, the real nerves will be when you got to spin the wheel.
Oh my God, dude. We'll spin it live too. We'll spin it live.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. The wheel will be making a debut on next week's episode. So
if I go 0 for 2, I'm pitching that wheel right out the window.
Yeah, if I go 0 for 2, this is going to be an empty chair next time. I'm gone. Mexico.
I feel if Russ goes 0 for 2, like you might have to pass the best bets segment off to someone else.
Yeah.
At some point, someone else might have to take over because people can't keep following your advice if you're
reasonable.
Putting yourself in these awful situations over and again.
That is true.
So. Well, cool. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap up for this week? So.
I actually do have a kind of funny story regarding the bet, that McGregor-Poirier bet, because I actually texted a medical professional of mine, and he didn't get back to me till like 3 weeks later. Unfortunately, you're still alive, but fortunately,
I think you said unfortunately. No,
I said, and fortunately, you're still alive. But
that's not what I heard. But either way.
But he said,
man, I'm his bro.
He said, this is what he said. Here, I'm going to get it right here. What did he say? He said, not a great idea, but if you have no pre-existing problems and the heat wasn't too intense, you should be fine. He said it could stir up ulcers, gastritis, GERD. I don't even know what that is. Even a heart attack, depending on several factors. But thankfully you're fine. And he got back a little late on that. I might have to text him before our other bets coming up.
Yeah. Part of the gamble is not knowing. So
it's true.
If you knew how safe it was, it's less fun. So
it's true.
Risk of violent diarrhea and heart attack just adds to the appeal.
And ulcers and gastritis and all that.
I think you should be jumping in a frozen lake like Jan you did in the countdown. You know what I mean? When you lose that bet, like that should be like one that goes with him. Since you did it in the countdown.
That'd be good. That'd be like fitting.
We definitely discussed that one, taking, like the polar bear challenge and jumping in a frozen lake. It's been unseasonably warm for February here in Michigan, but I have no doubts it's going to get freezing cold again, and there's plenty of water to go jump in. So jumping in a frozen lake is going to be on the wheel for sure.
I think that would be like the perfect payoff since we seen him do it in the countdown, full circle.
It would be. It would be.
I'm in 100%. So,
but that depends on, what happens in that fight. We don't know.
It's true. Very true. A lot of factors.
Oh,
Could be you jumping in that frozen lake. You seem to like to be out in the cold.
Don't put it out there. Why do you got to put crap like that out into the universe?
Because if it happens to you, it won't happen to me. That's
why. Oh, please let me be unscathed. Oh, please, God.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
I don't want to do any of that bull crap.
Oh, well.
I've seen some of the stuff going on the list, and I'm not having any of that stuff, man.
You're going to be having it. So that's what you get for taking Izzy against the Polish power. I've got a great T-shirt I got to dig up. It says Polish people know how to party. I for sure will be wearing that.
That's a good one.
That's
a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
No doubt about it. I'm digging that up for Jan's victory. So, but without further ado, we'll wrap the show up. So we have a halfway decent runtime on this episode. So thank you everybody for joining us. Looking forward to some comments on some fun bets for you guys to throw down for us. And we'll recap it and spin the wheel next week. So until then, enjoy the fights this weekend. We'll see you guys soon.
Hey, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and like and all that. Please
enjoy the fight card of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. See you guys.
So.
See you next week.